All right, so you had an experience that we want to talk about, right?
Yes, an experience, definitely.
An experience that we both thought is very revealing,
Mm-hmm.
and we thought like I can kind of interview you about that experience. You would
Yes.
share the experience, and then we're gonna kind of analyze it
Mm-hmm.
and say why we feel it's very telling about our times, our situation,
Mm-hmm.
and try to draw some conclusions together.
Yeah. Before we start, I want to say two things. One is that, as anyone who's viewing can see, we are in a new studio. We're trying out like new equipment, and this is a good opportunity to do this. It's not an
Mm-hmm.
official episode of the podcast. It's maybe like a special mini episode,
Mm-hmm.
especially in all the wrong ways, unfortunately, but special nonetheless. So that's one comment, and the other is that this is all very personal. It's something that happened with my family, and it's highly personal. And I want to say even before we start that I have some trouble, like being sure that I really want to like share this with the world, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a few reasons why I want to do this. So one reason is a completely selfish one, that
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I need some understanding, some validation about what happened, um, and that I feel like I need support. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it was a difficult experience, and I feel like I need support. So this is a completely selfish reason. But the other reason is that I feel like a lot can be learned from this because what I'm going to tell you is, in some sense, I think the way that fascism works.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I think about what happened in Germany in the 30s and 40s, we know generally how it works,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't know specifically how
Right.
it works. And the experiences that you and I and many other people who object to what's going on here, um, other anti Zionists have been experiencing, and of course, Palestinian Israelis have been experiencing in the last few months, I think really tells us a lot about how fascism rises and how it works on a very concrete and personal level. And I feel like knowing more about this can really help people see when this is happening in real time. They can also identify this happening in their own countries. Fascism exists all over the world in many different forms. Zionism is only a very extreme expression of it. So you can see things very clearly, so it can shed light on other situations. But I think it's very important that that everyone around the world know how it works on a very concrete level, so that they can identify it and think about how to deal with it. And it's not easy because it comes completely by surprise, and you don't even imagine that it's going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and then it does happen, and you feel like it's, I don't know, it's part of a movie, like you feel like you're in a movie, you know.
Mm-hmm. And I feel it many times like the way to spot it is not necessarily through the huge, big, extreme situation. It's in this subtle stuff that happens inside the
Yeah, the small
family.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and when you told me about your experience, I felt like, okay, this is something we need to talk about publicly. And I feel sometimes like this guilt that I'm sharing stuff about my friends, about
Mm.
family, about relative, but it's not personal. We need to stop look at this kind of issues as like it's not the time to have, you know, in extreme historical situation. This there's many considerations that are become less important than others, like
Yes.
about like yeah, trying to um, I don't know, yeah, not to separate between the private and the not private, all this kind of separation.
But you know, I think this is part of the problem. Even before we start, I think this is part of the problem, that the personal and the impersonal become they are always entangled.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also this experience that I had exemplifies this, because everything is highly political and highly personal, and one of the reasons that it's so complicated and so difficult emotionally is that it is personal.
Yes.
These people are my family.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to love me. I want to love them. I want to keep a good relationship with them. And when things like this happen, one of the things that triggers you so much is how highly personal it is, even though it is political and impersonal, you know?
Yes.
And this is one of the main problems.
Yes.
Okay, so let's start with the actual thing.
Yeah. So you want to start telling, sharing?
Yeah. So this happened on Friday. This was two days ago. So it started, we went to my grandfather's azkara. How do you say azkara in English? He passed away 6 years ago. And we went to the cemetery, and we read from the Bible, the things that you read from the Bible, Kaddish and stuff like that. And then we also talked about my grandfather, and we told like personal stories, and we talked about him like next to his grave, and the entire family was there, and it was very emotional. And all things considered, it was a positive experience. And one thing that I said, even in that situation, was that so my grandfather is a Holocaust survivor, was a Holocaust survivor. His entire family was murdered by the Nazis in the Second World War. He was born in Poland, and after like almost all of his family, he was left with his mother and his sister. And the three of them came to Israel. It was also very, very difficult. Came to Palestine at that point. It was very, very difficult for them to actually arrive in Palestine, which became Israel, where Israel was formed. You see, highly political always.
Mm-hmm.
Already it is highly political. Just I want to tell the story of my grandfather. So
Yes.
political. We will surge on nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he built a life here. After all the traumas that he suffered and endured, all the difficulties that he went through, and it was last Holocaust Remembrance Day. This was last April. I watched for the first time the testimony that he gave to Yad Vashem. Yad Vashem is like the Holocaust museum and research center, and one of their biggest projects is just interviewing survivors and documenting their personal stories. And it was hard for me to watch until now. But last year I watched it, and it was so weird, like listening to my grandfather speak after so many years that he's been gone.
Mm-hmm.
And also he had like a stroke a few years before he died. So it's been like almost 10 years since I heard him speak, like
Mm-hmm.
in an actual, actually being there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very weird experience, and I heard some things that I didn't know about, like things that he went through in Poland, like hunger, abuse, really horrible things. And he came here, and he built a life, and he started a family, and this is why I'm here. And he was a very difficult man because he was traumatized, very stubborn, very aggressive in many ways, but the reason why he was like this was that he really wanted to take care of his family. He didn't even care about himself. He cared about his family. He wanted to build a good life for his family.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a good heart, a kind heart, a pure heart. He had only the best intentions in mind, and those intentions maybe were warped by his trauma. And I think maybe already this sheds a lot of light about what is going on here in Israel. Like why people behave like they behave. Sometimes even people with the best intentions, those intentions can be warped by trauma and brainwashing and propaganda. So what I said was that the way that I honor his memory and the memory of his family is that I do everything that is in my power, everything that I think is possible, to make sure that the things that he and his family went through never happen again to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind who.
Yeah.
Whether no matter their race, no matter their ethnicity, history, nationality, sexual orientation, gender, biological species, also species. This is why I am fighting against the animal Holocaust. And this is in some sense my life's mission, and it is also because I want to honor his memory and the memory of his family that was murdered, and I want to bring peace and love and justice and freedom to the world so that such things cannot happen again. And when I said this in this way, no one could protest. I knew that all of my family understood that I'm also speaking about what is happening in Gaza right now.
Mm-hmm. Wait, but when did you say this?
In the Azkara, in the memorial.
And that happened
Before. This was in the afternoon, and then okay. So I said this, and everybody were like, yes. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Because they couldn't, like, you can't object to this.
Yeah.
So I did it in a kind of underhanded way,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that they can get the message, but not start an argument.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So afterwards, we went to my mother's house, and we had a meal together, and we were still sitting at the table, and my sister. So I have two sisters. They're both younger than me, but one is only 2 years younger than me, and one is 10 years younger than me.
Mm.
So here is another thing that should I use their names? I don't know. Like, everybody can know who I'm talking about. They're my sisters, but maybe using their names is kind of too revealing. So maybe I will call them the one who is 2 years younger than me. We will call her S, and the other one, who is much younger than me, 10 years younger than me, we will call her O.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was speaking with O, and she has a good heart. She has good intentions. She is also vegan. Okay.
Mm-hmm. You made her vegan?
Yeah. Yeah, like this used to be the thing that I talked about all the time, like in family meals and family gatherings. I talked about it all the time.
You made me vegan as well. So. Yeah, you're doing good work there.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying my best. This is the point.
You and Tamar, your girlfriend, you're both very good in this mission.
We have a lot of experience, unfortunately. I don't want to have experience in this. I don't want to have experience in this, but yes, I do.
Yeah, but I think, sometimes maybe this is part of our, I don't know, cosmic job in this life. You're born into a world that you have to fix in a way. Yeah,
there are things that are deformed in the way that the world works, and we are trying to straighten it up. Everything is like this, and we're trying to open the knots and make everything much more relaxed and natural.
Yeah, and big part of the question is how you do it, and I think So let's you finish the story and then we can speak
yeah,
about
this story I think is very indicative of the problems, of the difficulties that we encounter.
Mm-hmm.
So she was telling about this guy that she met. She was, I think, volunteering in some kibbutz, and they do like agricultural work.
Mm-hmm.
And she met a guy from Eritrea. No, not from
Rwanda,
Eritrea. No,
no?
from Rwanda. From Rwanda. I'm sorry. From Rwanda.
Uh-huh.
Because we were talking about immigrants from Eritrea before, so I was a little bit confused. So she met a guy from Rwanda.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about all kinds of things, about the different cultures, the cultural differences. And then the subject of the genocide that happened in Rwanda came up. And I didn't know much about this subject, I must say. It happened in '94. And I was only 7 years old at the time. You were even younger, right? And I think we didn't hear much about it in Israel.
Yeah.
And I
was too young, but I don't know a lot about it right
But I
now.
think no one in Israel really knows about it, and I have some suspicion that the reason for this is
that
also
Israel
political.
was involved in this in somehow by selling weapons or something.
This is a fact.
It's a fact.
It's a fact that I haven't checked this specifically, but I would bet a lot of money that they did. That they did sell arms, and I know for a fact that like if you look at basically any violent conflict in the world in the last let's say 60 years, Israel sold weapons to one side, to the worst side, and most of the time to both sides.
Yeah, I think that's why like South Africa is also, they know how Israel was supportive of the apartheid regime, and they have this, unfinished business, let's say, like I say it about
Germany.
it's part of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I think there is another reason why Israelis don't know about it, because we don't want to know about oppression, because like it is. This society is not very receptive to learning about oppression worldwide. Why? Because when you learn about oppression, you might start seeing points of similarity between the oppression going on over there and the oppression going on over here. So this is another subject.
Acknowledging oppression, it's like opening a Pandora's box.
Yes.
Because you're like suddenly you have to. You suddenly recognize so many horrible stuff that you're yourself personally involved in, that I can tell for myself for many years I didn't want to look not about neither on the occupation and also about other places in the world. And when you start to discover, like, you kind of rethink all of your life.
This is why I think all struggles for freedom and for justice and against oppression are all intertwined.
Yeah.
Because once you recognize oppression on one front, you will recognize oppression on other fronts. And you cannot, you can. We were just talking about this, about vegan Zionists and about pro-Palestine people who are supporting the animal Holocaust. The non-human animal Holocaust, and these two kinds of people are equivalent, completely equivalent, because they both noticed oppression in one context and are fighting against this oppression in this context, and they know all the nuances of oppression. They know the moral principles. They know why oppression is wrong. They know how oppression works. They know how people who support oppression talk. They know the excuses that people who support oppression use, but they will recognize it only in one context, and then they will be the same. They will behave like the people that they are arguing with in the other context. They will switch sides and become the same kind of. They will use the same kind of energy that they are fighting against in the other context. And
I think a lot of what we're doing is trying to identify the structure of oppressions when they appear in different forms.
Yes.
and how these forms exist in the mind in form of arguments and justifications and
Excuses.
And the cognitive dissonances,
Yes.
all this stuff that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think when you go deep into what oppression is, into what violence is, into what supremacy is, you start seeing that it all comes from the same place, actually, and it all works the same way, and it's all actually connected, like connected, like in a very concrete way. Okay, like for example, pick any two forms of oppression, and I will give you the connection. For example, how patriarchy works with human supremacy. Like eating meat is very manly, you know. It's a form of expressing your masculinity. Oh, look at all those steaks that I eat, right? Which is pathetic. It's like the most toxic and pathetic kind of masculinity. But this is the way that patriarchy works. Okay, so you can think about this, and this is like, I can give you 5,000 examples if I had the time. But let's
go back to this.
Yeah. So the thing is that I'm going to tell you the story now, and you will see how this happens immediately. We were talking about the genocide in Rwanda, and I started reading about it in Wikipedia, and I was like, oh, this happened in this year, and this was the context, and then I was like, so the thing is that in Rwanda, between 500,000 and 800,000 Tutsi were murdered in a period of 100 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. So the numbers are even bigger than the numbers of the Gazan genocide, the current Gazan genocide. I don't know what it is like relative to the size of the population, like what percentage of the population was killed in such a short time. But I saw this, and then I just realized that my mouth is talking. Like I didn't. You know, I don't want to stir things up. I don't want to start an argument. I really don't.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to not talk about what is going on 100 kilometers away from us. And I also do not want to let people who want to ignore what is going on and deny what is going on and continue their lives as if everything is normal, do it.
Yeah.
I do not want to let them do it.
Yes. That's the difficulty of living here, because you cannot just put it in the face of everybody all the time.
Yes,
you need to
is this
function
life?
and
Like fighting with everyone all the time?
Yeah, it's not possible. But on the other hand, like, you don't want to participate in this how do you
charade.
say? הסכמה שבשתיקה.
Like agreement in silence.
Yeah, like
to agree to be silent about it.
Because I always feel here that there's this atmosphere that we all know it's happening.
Yes.
And let's just not talk about it, because when some people support it, some people, I think more people than we think don't support it, but they're really, really afraid to speak and don't want to have like this, confrontations with people.
Yes. And I think it's even more prevalent within like liberal Zionist society.
Yeah.
Because liberals, one of the most prominent characteristics of liberals is that the main thing that they want is quiet.
Quiet, and let's be civilized and pleasant. And
they call it peace, by the way. They call it peace, but what they mean is quiet.
Yeah.
They mean keep quiet about everything. Yes, civilized. Yeah. Let's do a genocide in a civilized way.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the genocide in a respectful way.
Yeah, just not get heated up.
Yes, let's respect each other. I respect your opinion against genocide. You should respect my opinion for genocide. And we should all have a respectful discussion above the heads of our victims,
Yeah.
and without the consent of our victims. This happens, by the way, when people talk about the animal Holocaust,
Mm-hmm.
and this happens when they are talking about the
Yeah.
Gazan genocide.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, and about the oppression of the Palestinians in general when Zionists talk about this.
Yeah, it reminds me a bit when I invited this Zionist to do a conversation in Facebook, and it ended up like something like that, and I felt like uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Doing
they say
it.
agree to disagree. What do you mean agree to disagree? This is not. This is the thing that they regard it as kind of an abstract discussion.
Yeah.
This is an intellectual discussion. No, you are killing people right
Yeah.
now. They're calling it a discussion, but this is not a discussion.
Indeed.
It's a negotiation to free hostages. This is what it hostages that you are killing all the time.
Yeah.
This is what it is. It's a hostage negotiation situation, and not a discussion. This is not abstract, people.
Yeah, and the person that you are talking to, support for this is active part of what
Yes.
allowing this to happen.
Yes.
So it's not like we're talking about something that we don't have anything to do with also.
But you know, this is also ridiculous because all Israelis know this.
Mm.
All Israelis know this. Every Holocaust Remembrance Day, one of the main messages is those people were silent, and when you are silent in the face of evil, you are cooperating with evil. This is the
We're all
main.
taught this.
We were all taught this. All, everyone
All of
is
us.
taught this, like hammered into our brains.
I think
And
you know
still,
what's-
when it happens, when they are on the other side of it, they completely ignore it.
Yeah, I think like part of it is that I feel like there's the world is divided to people that think like that values is something that you're really committed to, or people who think that values is something that you just say in order to feel connected.
Yeah,
to
performative.
Yeah, to certain circle that you want to be part of.
Yes.
And I feel liberals basically are these people.
Yes.
Like they don't want to act upon their values, but they want to mention them in a situation that will make them feel superior to the people who don't have these values.
I think it's the way that you kind of work with your ego.
Yeah.
Okay, are you controlled by your ego, or is your ego just a part of you that has a job to protect you and to make you active and to the ego has a job, but are
Yeah.
you a slave of your ego? Okay, and I think we were also talking about this like a couple of hours ago. Like, what did you say about this? Like people who want to be good, right? Yes. This is how you said. Some people, they want to be. They want to say, I am a good person,
Mm-hmm.
right? They don't want to become better.
Yeah.
They don't want to do good. They don't want to make the world better. They want to say, I am a good person.
Yeah.
This is liberals.
Yeah.
I am a good person. No, I don't fucking care who's a good person, who's a bad person. We did a whole episode about this, episode 3 of the One State Solution podcast, Good and Evil. We did a whole episode about it. There are no good people and bad people. There are good actions and bad actions, if anything. Okay?
Yeah.
If anything, there are good actions and bad actions. And being a good person, whatever, if it means anything, is just trying to do as much good as possible all the time. Not saying I am good.
Yeah.
Saying I am good is bad. It's the opposite. It only causes you to do bad actions.
Yeah, and part of becoming good is always acknowledging that you're
Yes,
bad. That
yes.
like you told me about the animal Holocaust, and I thought like, yeah, fuck, I had no excuses, and I continued to do it. I was a bad person because I chose not to care about it. But
I don't think you were a bad person. I think you were and still are a good person. I think everyone is a good person, actually.
yeah,
I truly believe that. Maybe other than psychopaths. Maybe, and I don't even believe in the existence of psychopaths. I believe that everyone is good deep inside. This is what I believe. But it doesn't matter. I know that so many people are good people but still commit bad actions. I know
it
this for a
reminds
fact.
me. There's a lecture. There's like of Gabor Mate and Daniel Mate.
Yeah, discussion, okay.
About parenthood and all the problems they have. I listen to it many times because it's really, I think it's very beautiful about like parent-child relationship, and they asked like Daniel, they're like, what, how, like they described all the problems they had, and they asked him, what, how come now you sit and talk about it, about all of it, and you look like so like okay with each other? And he said like what made it possible that he, like his father Gabor, was never so attached to the role of good father. He never tried to think that he's always perfect, and then when he was confronted with him doing horrible stuff as a parent, he were willing to accept it.
Yes.
And I think it's
so this is the irony that I want to say it in a very I think this is a very important point. That the irony is that the more attached you are to the feeling that you are a good person, the worse you are.
yeah,
Because you will not be able to admit that the things that you were doing until now are wrong, and you will not be able to change for the better.
Yes.
Because you are attached to this image of a good person.
Yeah, and
And
it's
we
not,
need to release it.
and why, and it's not by accident that the Zionists and all and they're using the language of good and bad, and I'm not using this language when I describe what's happening. They say it's a, Bibi said it's a war of like
The
lights,
sons of light and
and
the children of light against
yeah.
the children of darkness. And
The
it's-
people who are talking like this is usually the people who are committing genocides in
Yes,
history, I
yes.
think. And the people who are fighting, I'm not using this language. I don't think that the Palestinians are the children of light and the Zionists are the children of darkness.
it's ridiculous.
I don't
It's
use
ridiculous.
these terms, you know.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
it reminds me of a line from Game of Thrones,
Mhm.
where Joffrey he says, "I am the king," and then what's his name? His brother, not his brother. What's his name?
I didn't watch Game of Thrones.
Oh,
Maybe I
shit.
should, yeah.
1 second. What's his name? What's his name? What's his name?
Cannot help you with that.
Never mind.
Okay.
So it reminds me, it reminds me of a thing. It reminds me of a line from Game of Thrones, where Joffrey says, "I am the king," and then his uncle, I don't remember the character's name now. His uncle says, "If you need to say that you are the king, then you are not a true king."
Yeah.
And I think this is the same kind of phenomenon. If you need to keep saying that you are a good person,
So you're
maybe
Yeah.
I should be suspicious of you.
Yeah.
Like, why do you keep saying that? Why
Yeah.
is it? The lady doth protest too much, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
let's get back to the story, right?
Yeah.
So we were talking about the Rwanda genocide, and I was reading about it in Wikipedia, and then again I didn't have any control of it, over it even. I started saying yes, exactly like what is happening now in Gaza, where 50,000 people were already murdered. I don't know the exact numbers, you know. The formal numbers are maybe 40,000 people.
The formal is like 32, but I think like it's way higher.
It has to be way higher.
Yeah.
I would assume that by this point it's 50,000, and even if they completely stop now, I estimate that the final death toll will be anywhere between 100 and 200,000 people. If they stop now, and they're not going to stop now.
Yeah, and it's not just about the killing. It's the
It's
torture,
the starvation. It's the
the humiliation. It's
it's
the
the
torture.
it's kicking people out of their houses. It's
Yeah.
destroying their houses. It's destroying their lives. It's destroying their society. It's so much more than that.
Yeah, and I also like what's going to happen. Like the disasters is for so many years to come that it's just so frustrating to like just think about it.
Yeah, we see everything disintegrating before our eyes. Yes, it's in Gaza now. It's 100 kilometers away now, and the Zionists can build their fences, their physical fences, and also their
Mental.
like their intellectual fences and their emotional fences and their diplomatic fences and all of these fences, the abstract and the physical fences that they build to protect themselves from what is going on. But these fences are an illusion. They will collapse very easily at some point. So this will come back.
Yeah.
Also, even if the Zionists don't care at all about Palestinians, still they should care about this because this is very dangerous. We are making this area into one of the most dangerous areas in the entire world. And there are atomic bombs here. Oh, they deny it. No. According to foreign sources, there are atomic bombs here, right? Very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Very dangerous. And oh, you also told about the conversation with your father about danger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, interject. Tell us about this.
What, that he said that like he supports it because of the dangers in the area?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like many Zionists justifies what's happening now. Say we are in existential danger, and he told me like, you're making friends with people all over the world that are against it, and Europeans and Canadians and Muslims all over the world, and it's true. Like I'm talking to many people right now, which I feel basically all of them like I find way more shared values that I find with, with so many Muslims. I found so many shared values around like universal morality that I find with so many Western people here.
Yeah.
But just show you how all these divisions are fake.
Yes, they are all lies.
Yeah, but he told me something that did make me think, because he said these people don't understand that we are in existential danger.
When you say these people, you mean like even European leftists?
Yeah, he says all these people I understand why they're looking at what's happening here, but they don't understand that we're a small country, that our situation is way more fragile than what they think. Even though we are supported by the United States, it can sometimes we are in a place, and I thought like it's so sad and pathetic in a way that this is what he thinks, because if there is something that endangers us more than anything is to commit a genocide to a group, even just like you said, even if you don't care about the Palestinians, like you're killing Muslim people when you live in a places where all of your surroundings are Muslims, and the only reason that they can't take revenge about
is because of the support of the US.
Yeah, and one day it's gonna be over.
Yes, at some point, the US will decide this is not good for us anymore.
It's closer than we think.
Yes, it's closer than we think, and I believe that the moment the US decides that this is not worthwhile for them anymore, 4 days later, no support anymore. Like it's going to happen like that.
Yeah.
And once Israel does not have the support of the US, they will not have the support of anyone in the West anymore, because the US calls the shots. Right. And then all hell will break loose.
Yeah.
And all the shit will hit the fan.
It will finish in 5 seconds.
I don't even know.
I don't know.
I don't. But the point is that one of the reasons that we are talking is because we are recognizing the danger, the actual existential danger that exists here, and we are doing our best to minimize it as much as we can. And we are saying, listen, if you continue down this path, this is a path of suicide, collective suicide.
Yeah. I think Zionism is a genocidal, suicidal movement. It needs to be recognized as that, and Israelis and Jews need to start to recognize the self. They're calling us self-hating Jew.
Yeah.
That's the irony. And what endangers Jews and Israelis, which by the way is not the same thing, because we need to talk about it as well, because I think Israeli identity is a artificial identity that created as a result of settler colonial movement that hijacked Judaism.
The melting pot.
Melting pot. And I'm recognized that I'm part of that I am.
The most revolting stew ever concocted.
Yeah. But but we are the self-haters.
Yeah. Okay, so we deconstructed some shit. I'll continue with the story. So I found myself just saying, yes, this is exactly what is going on in Gaza right now, and my family is ignoring it, and my family is supporting it, and some of my family is participating in it. And I said it, I raised my voice. The volume of my voice was higher at that point.
Yeah, you allowed yourself to express a bit of
I
negative
was
emotion.
emotional about it. Oh no, I was emotional about it.
Yeah.
I raised my voice. Oh no.
Yeah.
Not a minute later,
Mm.
then I said this.
Mm.
I started seeing everyone around me starting to leave.
Mm.
So, my S, my younger sister, who is the older one,
Mm.
and her husband started packing up their things, packing all the baby things, because I have a niece. She is 1 year old.
Just
1 year
immediately
old.
after you said this sentence.
Immediately. They started packing up their things.
Mm.
My grandmother, who was also there, she started they said, oh, we need to find you a taxi. My younger sister, she just went away into her room. My mother went away to find a taxi for my grandmother.
Mm.
Things started to fall apart.
Yeah.
And
It's crazy.
it's crazy. Immediately, I had a feeling of what was going on. I started understanding what was going on. But this is the thing with fascism, and especially liberals, okay? Especially liberals. And again, liberals are a kind of fascists, and you know what? In some sense, they are the most dangerous kind of fascists, because they are underhanded.
Yeah, and they won't admit.
Yes.
They did. No one was honest with you and say like, "What you say? I'm going. I'm
they
leaving."
just started leaving.
Yeah, and this it's from like different reasons.
So I was like, I asked my sister, why are you leaving? And she was like, yeah, I don't feel so well, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I wanted to say goodbye to the people who were leaving, and my brother-in-law, he was already catching the elevator with my niece. So I went and I said to my niece, bye bye. Like, she already understands language, and I love her, okay? And I don't know, I already feel like she's very young, but I already feel like a connection with her, and I wanted to say goodbye. And I also went to him and I said goodbye to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say, my brother-in-law,
Mm-hmm.
he is in the reserves of the IDF, the IOF, the Israeli Occupation Forces.
Mm-hmm.
He's a member of the reserves, and let's say 3 months ago, he came directly from whatever he's doing there. I never asked, because it's scary to ask. He came from whatever he was doing there, and he was wearing the green uniform.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was exactly like seeing someone wearing a Nazi uniform. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And I didn't say anything. And you know what? I felt guilt after that I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So he's part of it. And when I say some of my family is participating in it, he knew that I was talking about him.
Yeah.
Okay? They are not stupid, even though they pretend to be stupid. They are not stupid. They understand everything. So I went to hug him, even though he is a Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to give him a hug.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very cold toward me suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
And I started understanding that something was up.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back into the house, and then also he had to go back to pick up something. And then I started talking to my girlfriend, and I asked her, "Do you think they're leaving because of what I said?" And she was like, "I don't know. I don't know. It makes sense what you were saying, but I don't know, because this is what I started saying before. Like, it's so confusing, because you don't want to, like, first of all, you don't want to blame people, to accuse people of things that are not true. And you don't want to think that this is what's going on. Like, you don't want to assume the worst. You want to, like, one of my best qualities, I think, is that I try to assume the best.
Yeah,
you know?
you don't want to be paranoid.
Yeah, I don't want to be paranoid. And and Tamar is the same as me, my girlfriend. And she was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on.
I
then-
had many experience that people like didn't say hi to me on the street. People
Yeah.
that I know very well,
Yeah.
and then you think like, am I being paranoid? But I know it's because of what I'm saying and
It's
doing.
because of what we're saying. Yes.
But I start to learn to. But this is okay. Continue. It's more hard when it's your family and
Yeah.
yeah.
So at that point I was like, okay, I need to ask. And they were all there, and I was like, so I asked specifically my sister and her husband, are you leaving because of what I said about Gaza?
Mm.
Like, just directly, because
Yeah.
I hate this.
Yeah.
I hate all this passive-aggressive
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah.
And for good reason, you see.
Yeah.
They're using it to gaslight.
Yeah.
So I was like, are you leaving because of what I said about Gaza?
Yeah.
And then what did my brother-in-law said? I am leaving so that I don't have to answer you about what you said about Gaza.
Mm.
Which gave the game up. It was very obvious what was
Mhm.
going on now. And to be honest, at that point, I lost it.
Yeah.
I lost it. I started screaming. I started cursing. I called them Nazis. I called them cowards. I said they were disgusting. I said they were revolting to me. They were already on their way out, but when they were waiting for the elevators.
By the way, there's airplane now.
There is an airplane above us.
Yeah.
The airplane is obviously on its way to bomb Gaza in around 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. I don't know how long it takes. A bunch of people will be dead.
Like, we don't know, but it's high possibility, let's say.
Again, we do know.
We do know? You think
do
that's
know.
what he's doing?
I think that's what's going on now. The noise, we are in an enclosed space, like noise protected, but we can hear it. It's very obvious. The plane is going above our head. And in, what is the song that you wrote?
Airplanes flying above my head. But
second?
airplanes flying above my head. In an hour from now, another family is dead. Yeah, that was the song.
And this is what's happening right now
Right
as we
now.
speak. As we speak.
How many episodes of the podcast we're gonna do that it's
Say
gonna
the
be
genocide is happening now.
now?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Okay, so where was I in the story?
That you confronted him and he
Yeah.
said yes. I didn't want to argue with you, so I decided
Listen.
to leave.
Look at the underhanded. Look at all the.
Yeah.
I am so noble.
Mm-hmm.
I am such a big man that I am not going to stoop to your level. I am not going to argue with you. I will leave covertly without saying anything. I will hurt your feelings in the most despicable way possible. Make you feel deserted, make you feel alone. Like you have felt all your life in living in Zionist society as someone who opposes the oppression of the Palestinians. I will be the bigger man. I will not stoop to your level. But this is the thing. It's all part of their idiotic defensive mechanisms of trying to silence everyone. And this is the way that they silence me. And still, and this is the way that he wants to silence me while keeping his own like dignity, like his own self, like his own sense of importance, of self-importance.
No, but it's so telling. We just did an episode about cults.
Yes.
And look what, like, this cult behavior that everyone is just staying away from, but they won't tell you. And
Yes.
then it puts you in a situation that you're so miserable because you don't know.
Yes.
You don't know why they're behaving. You had the sense to ask and to confront. And I
Yes.
think it's very good that,
Yes.
that you made him say that. But he would prefer just to make you feel shit, to make you not secure, that you don't know
Yes.
why it happens, and what makes person more crazy that people are being distanced from them.
This is textbook gaslighting.
Yeah.
It's textbook gaslighting.
Yes.
No, I'm just feeling bad.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, I've been experiencing this all my life.
Yeah.
Just so you understand, ever since I was young, I already felt that something was wrong. I already felt, when I understood what was going on, I'm getting emotional, but you know what? I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. I want people to see the way that this is affecting me emotionally. This is what happens when you try to resist fascism. This is what happens. This is what happens to you psychologically and emotionally.
I think also, wow.
Okay, so I've been experiencing this all my life. This gaslighting, this not understanding what is going on, and these people like keeping their distance from me and isolating me in covert ways, in ways that I cannot call them on, because if you call them on it, then it becomes worse, right? And if it's of course they're going to deny it, and if you're wrong about it, then this is really horrible. Did you accuse me of such a thing? And even if you're right about it, it's also horrible, because they will still say, you are accusing me of something so horrible, and they will make you feel shitty for trying to confront them, not just with the oppression and the genocide that they are causing, but also with the fact that they are behaving so nastily towards you, to punish you for trying to bring this to awareness.
Yeah. And you ruined the party. You ruined.
Yes, I am the party pooper. I'm the one.
You ruined the family unity.
Yes.
Like now everybody have to go, and I think there's so many ways to handle this. Like let's say I was in his position, that I don't agree that I think this.
This is necessary. It's not really a genocide. I'm just exaggerating. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and I will feel it's triggering me, and I cannot talk about it. So I think the most I don't know, like what honest thing you can do is just say, listen,
it's hard for me.
Hard for me. I don't agree with you, but I prefer not to get into the discussion right now. I respect you. It's your ability to.
So what will
whatever, but like
let
you
me
cannot.
say, what will he say about this? What will he say about this? And I will already answer his idiotic claims. He will say, no, but with alone, it's impossible. Because he will continue to pressure the point, and he will become even more upset, and he will yell. Which is what my younger sister said about this, and we will get to her. We will deal with her now, later. He will say this, but here is my answer. This is not the first time that I tried to raise this subject. It's not the second, it's not the 10th, it's not the 100th, and it's not the 500th time that I tried to raise this subject with my family. They always want to ignore. There is never a correct time to talk about it, and there is never a correct way to talk about it. Never, ever, ever. And the reason why I yell is because they never, ever, ever listen. If you speak calmly, they don't listen. If you speak regular, they don't listen. If you speak passionately, they don't listen. If you cry, they don't listen. If you yell, they don't listen. They never listen. The thing is, they don't want to listen. They never want to listen. Ever, 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 ever. And then they blame you for blowing up when they don't listen and don't listen and don't listen, and you can't take it anymore. And you've seen in the last 6 months, you've seen so many horrible things happening in their name, in their support, in their active participation in the case of my brother-in-law, and you can't hold it in anymore, and you blow up, and then they accuse you for it, and they make you feel guilt for it, and they say, now it's your fault that we don't talk to you because you are being unreasonable, when they are actually committing genocide. And you know what? I don't know of a single anti-Zionist person who did not fight, who has a Zionist family, who did not have aggressive fights with their family in the last 6 months. You had fights with your family, right?
Yeah.
Even the most gentle people, you are one of the most gentle people that I know.
Yeah,
you can say that I have the aggression, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But you are very gentle, and you still yell.
And also, it's impossible not to explode, I had also, I had an exchange with my father that I was in a situation with, large family, but I didn't talk about it because I was like, fuck it, it's pointless.
Yeah.
And I also feel kind of the guilt that you were talking about. But then, day after, I exploded on my parents.
Yes. Yes. See what happens? They forced you to keep all these things inside and have them ferment inside you. And then when you blow up, because this cannot stay inside, they blame you for it and they shame you for it and they make you feel guilty for it.
Yeah, and my father wrote me a message that this holy sense of rage, like that it's narcissistic, that I don't...
Every accusation is an admission of guilt with those people.
I don't want to engage in a rational discussion, so I feel like I'm superior by being but by feeling rage. And like, what else is more justified to feel rage about than this in the world? Like, I don't know, like...
No, but what is the only thing that is more justified in my mind is the non-human animal Holocaust, but never mind. I also blew up about that many times. But look at the double bind, okay?
Yeah.
So if you don't talk about it, you feel guilt because you didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
If you do talk about it, you feel guilt because you talked about it.
Yeah.
If you talk about it calmly, then they will it will be easy for them to ignore you and say, "Oh, let's agree to disagree civilly," and then you feel guilt for not pressing the point.
Yeah.
If you do press the point, then they will start attacking back and be aggressive. And Zionists they have in Hebrew, "En lahem Elohim." They don't have a God. So the expression in Hebrew, they don't have a God, means they have no rules. They will break every rule. Yeah. They will break every rule because they want to achieve a certain result. Okay? This is very ironic. En lahem Elohim, they don't have a God. They really do not have a God. They pretend to have a God, but they really do not have a God. Never mind. So they will say nasty things to you. They really don't mind saying you are condescending, you are narcissistic, you are just a liar, you are stupid, you are naive, they will say nasty things towards you, and then when you say the truth, you are committing genocide, they will say, how can you say such horrible things about us? The sense of indignation that they have. Continue the story?
Yeah.
Okay. So at this point I blew up. I started saying really nasty things. I stand behind every nasty thing that I said.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point I was just talking to an empty room, you know. My father was still there. My father, he is also a good person. He also has a good heart. He also wants good in the world. He also loves me and he appreciates me and he knows that I am right. Deep down, he knows that I am right. He knows that I am right about veganism as well. Even though he is not vegan. He knows that I am right. And in the at this point about veganism, he says, yes, you are right. He just says it outright. Yes, you are right, but I will not. I cannot influence it. He has his excuses. Never mind.
Mm-hmm.
So he stayed there, and he was obviously very upset about what happened, because we had some discussions before that. He said, you shouldn't talk about this. And I said, I cannot not talk about it. I have to talk about it. I cannot keep silent. And I had a very nasty argument with him as well, about 3 months ago. And I said some horrible things to him as well. Horrible things. I don't know, I said the truth. I said the truth. The truth is horrible. I'm sorry that the truth is horrible. So I have to say horrible things.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk for like 2 months after that. And he said to me that he doesn't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about politics.
Yeah.
So he stayed there, and he was obviously upset. But he didn't say anything. Like, he didn't say anything hurtful to me. And I appreciate him for it. Even though it's not the best that he can theoretically do, I guess it's the best that he can practically do in this situation. So, and I also yelled, I yelled to my the older sister when they were waiting for the elevator. I yelled to them, they are Nazis and stuff like that. And then I also yelled to my other sister, who went and shut the door, she shut it aggressively,
Mm.
right? She also said it with, oh, the door doesn't shut correctly, I need to do it with force. Blah, 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 blah. They will make excuses. And maybe some of it is true, maybe some of it, I don't know. But because they lie all the time, you don't know what's true and what's not true. So I yelled to her as well. Like I knew that she heard what I said. I said, you're a coward. You try to run away from reality. You think that you can deny everything and keep everything away, but it's not possible. And I said some nasty things to her as well. Also, all of them true. All of them 100% true.
Yeah, just the truth.
Yes. And at some point, Tamar and I realized that nothing was happening, so we left, and then I went and I sat in the car and I broke down completely. And Tamar hugged me and helped me. Like, you know the feeling? The feeling of shouting horrible things to your family members. And thinking, do I not have a family now? I don't know.
Mm.
Can I even talk to them after this? Can I even talk to them? I don't know. And in my in this situation, I took my phone. I was angry at my sister, at my brother-in-law, so I sent my sister like a bunch of like sick emojis, like emojis throwing up, and then I blocked her on WhatsApp, and then I sent to my brother-in-law, "You're a Nazi," and I blocked him as well. And I was crying, and I was like, you know, it was in like, it was so hard. So yeah, this was one of the hardest moments of my life, I think. Like really, really, like feeling guilt, feeling upset, feeling hurt, feeling lonely, feeling like I did something wrong.
Yeah, and you know, like sometimes I think like, of course, but this is exactly the experiences people don't want to experience this stuff, and that's why they don't speak up.
Yes.
And I think we're closing, like we talked about this story and we can analyze how it's like, but I feel it's still still worth it, even though it's a shitty experience.
Yes. Yes. So I was in my car for like with Tamar for like, I don't know, half an hour, and then she was like, "We need to go back upstairs. We need to talk to your parents." And I didn't want to do it, but at some point I was like, "Okay, let's go back upstairs." My father had already left at this point, so only my mother was there, and my younger sister, she was locked up in her room. Okay. And my mother, of course, was very upset. And you know what? I will not give too many details about this, but Tamar and I had a conversation with her, and I have some problems with my mother, like personal problems, like I will not go into detail about this, but ironically, this was one of the first and only times in my life that I spoke with my mother seriously and directly and honestly and openly. And I must say that my appreciation for my mother grew significantly after this discussion, because she really listened. She started out from saying the normal Zionist excuses, and then Tamar did very good. I became upset, And Tamar did very good work telling to her, listen, a year ago I was a Zionist, but then I met Alon and we had long discussions about this, and now I'm not a Zionist anymore. I use the same arguments that you are using now. Alon deconstructed them for me. She started saying a few things that to deconstruct. My mother listened. And at some point I told her, think about your grandchild. Like my other sister's daughter, okay? Think about her. Think about a bomb dropping on our house when we are having the meal together. Think about her body being dismembered. I saw the look of fear, revolt, like the horrible look in her eyes, and I told her, I saw 100 videos of this already in the last 6 months actually happening, and this happened thousands of times in Gaza. And I saw something click in her mind. So I really appreciate her for listening openly. This was very difficult for her, I know. But it's weird.
It shows that I'm happy that this story has this end.
This part of it. It's not the end, but it's a part of it.
But
yes.
It shows that, we cannot give up. It's in a way, the easy thing is to say, like, fuck them.
Yeah.
Fuck the Nazis. Fuck the...
Sometimes you need to say fuck them.
Sometimes you need, but I think, like, part of our work is to feel all this anger, to feel all... Sometimes sometimes to fight with people,
yes. Sometimes to yell.
Because let's say, I think it's better to yell than not saying anything, and
yes.
But we still, it's part of our job not to give up completely, because you cracked something in
yes.
your mother's...
So this is what I need to say. They keep saying, oh, you will not achieve anything with yelling.
Mm-hmm.
I achieved something with yelling on Friday.
Yeah, but you needed Tamar as well to be there and to be able to...
But Tamar could not have achieved it with her attitude.
Right,
alone.
you need the good cup,
the
bad
good
cup.
Bad cup routine.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, they keep saying, your yelling doesn't help. I'm sorry, yelling does help. It punctures something in their well-protected bubble.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need, like, they built all these walls of protection, and you need to kind of do this to kind of shock the system, and then you can do something else.
And also, if it's your parents or somebody who cares about you, and they see how much you care about it, that
yes.
you have to yell because you don't know what to do anymore. Sometimes, I write songs, I
you write posts on Facebook.
We do the podcast, and sometimes I think the real honest thing that I want to do is just yell with no words.
Yes.
Just
yes,
express.
Yes.
Yeah.
I said several times about the animal Holocaust. Even if all people in the entire world only yell at the top of their lungs for a year, it would still not be enough. It would still not correspond to the level of horror of this thing happening.
And I had a discussion with a friend that he says, why do you keep sharing like photos and of dead kids in Gaza? Like, he says, do you think I love to see it? Do you think I enjoy? Like, I support the work because I think there is no choice. It's not that I enjoy to see dead babies. And he said it's like easy to be emotionally against it. And I...
So if something is easy, it must be wrong.
And I
not
think,
that it's easy. It's not even.
And I think morality starts from this emotional thing. If you try to deny it and say like, I think people who are in this mentality that, war is horrible, but and they say, I also feel like you hear Joe Biden say it and Anthony Blinken say, like, yeah, it's a tragedy. But I don't believe them that they really feel something.
No.
Because if you really feel, so you also must say, like, something need to be done to stop it.
Yes.
And I'm it's hurts me so much that I'm willing to question my assumptions,
Yeah.
if it's necessary or not. But I think you can, if you do, why they don't want to do it, because it means that then all the stuff you did is not justified, and also your support to this was, and then what do you say when you look in the mirror, a person who supported all this? Like, it's horrible. So
Yeah.
you cannot let any of this in, you know.
Yeah.
You cannot. And it brings us back to this,
But
I'm
I just
a
want
good
to
person.
say, yeah, I just
know?
want to say about what you said.
Mm-hmm.
There are two kinds of people. Those who say killing is wrong, and those who say killing is wrong, but.
Yeah.
And these are the two kinds of people.
Yeah.
Very few people, if any, say killing is okay.
Yeah.
Very few people in our liberal world say this.
Yeah, but even though, like,
You know what? In
maybe-
Israel, there is a huge part of the population that says yes, it's good to kill Palestinians
yeah, that the racism.
because we've arrived there.
Yeah.
But liberals, they will always say, "Oh, killing is wrong. Killing babies is wrong. Killing children is wrong." But they will say killing is wrong. But, and the most important thing is what comes after the word "but" and not what comes before the word "but."
Yeah.
So my conversation with my mother was also mixed with me yelling to my sister who closed herself up in her room. And I think this also is worth looking at, because I understand her. It's hard for her. She is a sensitive person. Again, she is a good person. She has a good heart. She wants good things to happen in the world. She is vegan for a reason. But she is very sensitive. And it's hard for her to process situations where there is tension, when there is aggression. Okay? So the way that she deals with it is that she wants to make a bubble around her where all of the evil will not come in.
Yeah.
And ironically, this makes her support evil. Because when I do the things that I do, which is puncture the bubble, she becomes aggressive towards me. And she said that I was violent, and she said that she doesn't want to talk to me, and she would not admit that she abandoned the situation because of what happened. She tried to gaslight me again, and she did not admit that what she did was hurtful towards me, and she did not apologize, and she tried, and the whole okay. So the thing was that the entire interaction, she tried to make me out to be a monster. And why am I a monster? Because I tried to puncture her bubble. She said it's because you yell. Maybe it's hard for her that I yell. But, as we explained before, it's hard not to. And I don't think that the problem is that I'm yelling. I think that the problem is that I'm talking about what's going on, that she wants to ignore.
But maybe, I don't know, if you get to talk to your sister again,
Yeah.
you can try to explain her in a way that respect her sensitivities. And I know it sounds like very, like, why should I? There's genocide going on, but that's what I said about, like, we are not, we have work to do. What can I say? And it's
So this highlights another problematic part of this situation, because it's like I cannot accept the claim that I need to respect the sensibilities of people who are supporting genocide. This is a very hard claim to accept.
Yeah. I understand you completely.
Like, I know that in some sense it is true, but it is also a claim that was used repeatedly all my life against me to shut me up all the time. And the nuances of respecting the sensitivities and sensibilities of the people you are trying to expose the crimes of, and not shutting up and being direct and being and not being gaslit and not being silenced, it's really difficult. It's you know what? It is the most difficult thing that I have ever had to do ever. I do not know how to do it yet. I'm becoming better at it, but maybe I'm becoming less awful at it.
But you don't need to. I think maybe the way is to, cause I don't know. Like when you describe me or a sister that have like this high sensitivity for like shouting, and she just don't know what to do and she have to leave. I can sympathize with it in a way, and I, cause and maybe if there's a possibility to come and tell her, look, it's so emotional for me because of what's happening. I want you to understand why. I'm not like.
But here is the other side of it. Here is the other side of it. She wants me to respect her sensitivities. She does not respect me.
Yeah.
She does not respect me because she does not respect the fact that I need to get emotional sometimes, and for her, being emotional is like a red line, right? And then the fact that me being emotional is a red line for her is a kind of silencing.
Yeah.
Like you can't go like I want to talk about it, and it's hard to talk about it calmly.
Yeah.
Because it is not a thing that like it's not.
It feels even wrong.
Yes,
to talk
it feels
about
wrong
it
to
calmly.
I am not calm about it. I am not collected about this. I am highly emotional about this, and you know what? It upsets me that people are calm about this.
Yeah.
This is part of the problem.
Yeah.
You need to be upset about this.
Right.
How are you not upset about this?
Yeah, the problem is that people are so numb that they're not upset enough.
Yes. Yes.
And they always like. I think what many people say, and I also said it long time before, like, I'm kind of new to activism, and I tell many people I moved from like, I don't know, 0 to 100, like
You moved from 0 to 1,000,000. There are very few people who are doing anything that resembles what you are doing.
And I also became vegan, and I changed a lot of stuff very quickly. And I told you before, I think it's also part of this that I'm not so attached to saying that I'm a good person. Like I was okay with admitting that I'm not, but to put that aside, like I think many years I said like, but if I start to acknowledge reality, the amount of suffering that I will start to feel responsible is so big that I won't be able to do music, and I will not be able to enjoy friends, and I will not be able to dance and so I prefer to push all of it aside, and I think that's what people do, and like.
But this is a lie. We need to expose this as a lie. We need to because they can continue their normal life, but their normal life will be superficial. It will be characterized by ignorance. It will be characterized by attempts of denial and by closing off to the world, and even closing off to their own emotions. And we talk about like the New Age society that does a lot of things in this direction. And I feel like if you live a life of denial, then it's a very poor life. Poor spiritually, poor emotionally, poor intellectually. And maybe you will have some material advantages for this. Also, I think not for long, because of what we were saying about how this thing is going to collapse. But spiritually, it will be meaningless, I think.
Yeah, it becomes like a lot of things that used to look good to me now seems like shallow.
Yeah.
Many things.
Yeah. And I think one of the simplest ways to
Mhm.
expose this is to just start talking about it. Like the
Mhm.
people who are ignoring this, start talking to them about it, say one thing,
Mhm.
and then all the shit comes out. All the things that all their defense mechanisms, all the like the violence that they are holding inside, it comes out.
Yeah.
And then you see the patheticness for what it really is.
Yeah.
Okay, so this became an episode.
Yeah, it became an episode. We
It
didn't
became an
plan,
episode
but
of the
I guess
podcast.
it will be an episode, right? Or
Yes, it's now an episode of the podcast.
Okay, so we have 2 episodes that we have to release.
Yeah, 3 actually.
3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So maybe just a few closing remarks about this, about your thoughts. Just say,
Yeah, I just thought to me like I wanted you to share this event because I think it's like it really felt like story from a movie about like, and you know I have many thoughts about like why we talk about ourselves and not about what's going to the Palestinians right now, which is the real horror. But what happening in this society is connected to what happens there.
it's the same society.
It's the same society.
This is what we're talking about. It's the
Right.
same society. It
Yes.
is one state. We just need to acknowledge it.
It is one state. These people, and that's Israelis don't understand that one day, I don't know when, they will have to face these people that they're just executed in masses. They will have to look to them in the eye.
Yeah.
And say, yeah, it happened to you by us, and we ignored it, and we went to parties, and we went to the beach, and we didn't want to think about it because it was too hard for us to, because we were scared, because we thought it's because we felt threatened.
How
But
will they ever do this? I don't know.
but there will come a point where all the excuses we will have now will melt the moment we will face the victims.
Yes.
And I don't know when and how it's gonna happen, and I'm really afraid and that this cycle is just gonna perpetuate itself, because I think Zionism is kind of, it's a fear that you know, I'm afraid that they will make their worst fear happen
Yes.
because they're not want to look
Reality. That's
at
reality. Yes.
And maybe this is like sometimes when I become pessimistic, I'm thinking maybe this is what's going to happen. If I will be there, I will have to protect myself and my family and survive, and tell myself I did what I could, but I don't know. I really hope that there's going to be some better ending to this.
Maybe I am
Or
stupid. Maybe I am stupid, but I am still optimistic.
You're still optimistic?
I feel like this horrible darkness that has descended upon us, this is the continuation of 75 years and maybe even more of darkness that mainly the Palestinians felt. Now, all of the world is feeling this darkness. But I feel like this darkness, they say, it is darkest before dawn. And I feel like this is true. I feel like the wheels of history have started moving. People are waking up. I am waking up. I know that I am waking up. You are waking up. More and more people are waking up. They are waking other people up. And I feel like this is the start of something big that is going to happen in the world.
I really hope. But I feel like there are still illusions that people hold on to.
They will hold on to
Even
their
the people
illusions
in
until they cannot anymore.
Even the people who are in the pro-Palestine movement, I think there are many illusions that they still hold on to that is not facing the problem in the root. And I feel what we're doing is trying to understand it together, because this discussion need to be happen in every fucking house
Yes.
in the world.
All the time.
All the time.
We need to wake up. We have been asleep.
How did we get here? How
Yes.
did we get here that this can happen? Like,
We have been asleep for too long, and we
Yeah.
need to wake up. And
yes.
I am trying to wake up, and I am trying to wake up other people as much as I can. And the last thing that I want to say is that this is the most vulnerable that I have been publicly
Mm-hmm.
ever. And this is part of me waking up.
Mm-hmm.
I do not want to be afraid to be vulnerable. I do not want this toxic idea of you need to fake that you are perfect, that you are happy,
Yeah.
that everything is good, blah 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 blah. I don't want this shit anymore. I want to tell the truth. I want to say how I'm really feeling. I want you and everybody to see my defects. I want you to see that I get upset. I want you to see that I yell. I want you to see that I feel guilty. I want you to see all of it because it's true.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that the thing that the world needs most right now is truth.
Yes.
And this is why I'm trying to bring as much truth as I can.
I think it's a good point to finish.
Yes. So
Yeah.
thank you for being with us in this episode, I guess,
Yeah.
of the One State Solution podcast. And
We will continue to do what we're doing.
yes. Peace.
Peace, justice.